What's in an apology? And is an apology received 13 years after the events that it's apologizing for still as effective as one received at the time of those events might have been? These are just two of the questions that I'm reflecting on this morning because I'm holding in my hands a letter of apology that I have finally received from the medical director of the hospital that was responsible for harming my son, for causing birth injuries to him that are life-changing, possibly life-limiting, and an apology that frankly I've been fighting through the courts for years to receive. In the intervening time of Adam's birth and near death, there have been seemingly endless aspects of trauma, of investigations, of legal battles, of interviews with journalists, of heart-wrenching decisions surrounding my son's care, of broken and damaged relationships, of utter burnout, and even death. There have been more meetings with lawyers than I care to remember or count. Court dates, tribunals, tributes paid to me for my devotion as Adam's mother and fierce commitment to ensure that his needs are met. Of more time than I could remember spent bending the ear of counselors, therapists, psychologists. And just a fortnight ago, finally, my first ever face-to-face meeting with the executive medical director and associate medical director of the hospital that triggered more than a few tears and resulted in receipt of this letter. A letter that in part says that my story will stay with them for a long time to come, that apologizes for the harm that the hospital did then, and that in so many ways that it continues to do. An acknowledgement that the letter itself took far too long to be written and to be sent, and a commitment to continue educating their staff in an effort to prevent as much harm as possible to other families going forward, and a commitment to work to rebuilding relationships with me and with other families that this hospital trust has harmed, thousands of them. I feel the need to acknowledge, because I'm a decent human being, that it's a good letter. It's entirely contrite. It's accepting of the harm that was caused to us, of the way that the complexity of legal processes around medical negligence claims have only made that harm deeper and greater rather than working to lessen it. They seem to be decent human beings, probably good doctors. They both listened and spoke with empathy as we met. I can't and won't judge them for the unenviable role that they find themselves in as the faces and spokespeople for a hospital that has harmed so many of its patients. But even if they're the nicest people in the world, they're still the face of the hospital that should have brought my son into this life gently and with care, and instead stood by as he nearly died and only acted much too late. So, what's in an apology? Without doubt, I appreciate it, and I asked for it. Such a letter was promised to me nearly 2 years ago as part of the court processes, but it has only just arrived. Something that they acknowledged in itself is not good enough. But all these years later, even the best of apologies is only ever bittersweet. It can't undo the harm that was done and the harm that continues to be done. It can't undo the trauma or the pain. It can't wipe away the tears that have been shed. It can't undo the bruises that no longer show on my skin, but that are still lodged in my heart from the many and various bruised and bloody injuries that my son has inflicted on me over the years. It can't return my son's life to him as it should have been lived. Can't bring my son home to his mother's loving care because he lives in residential care for his own safety and also for mine. It can't refund the hundreds of thousands of pounds that have been spent on legal processes. Thank goodness for charities and legal aid. It can't ever be known about or read by Adam's late father, who never even heard the outcome of the Ockenden review, was never able to attend the High Court with me when the hospital finally admitted 80% liability. It couldn't hear the various tributes paid to me as a mother for being so devoted to my son. It can't even see, as is also written in the letter, the additional tribute paid to me by the medical directors of the hospital, as they acknowledged, both in the meeting and also in the letter, that I'm a very strong woman who has fought through more battles than I ever should have had to. It helps a little bit. It's better than not receiving one at all. But what is an apology really? Maybe it's just an acknowledgement that things didn't need to be this way. But I knew that already.